Chris Palme here, radio host of Live with CDP Sports Talk, weeknights from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern on radio station WQEE 99.1 FM in Noonan, Georgia, the home of Southern Talk and Sports. I am live at the KeyBank Center in downtown Buffalo for tonight's National Lacrosse League Championship Series, Game 2 between the visiting Albany Firewolves and the hometown Buffalo Bandits. And I have a special guest tonight. His name is Adam Levi. He is the writer and reporter for the National Lacrosse League. And I'm going to get Adam's thoughts on this series and Game 2 tonight. Good evening, Adam. How you doing?
I'm doing really good, Chris. Thank you for having me on. It's always great to talk to you. I think it's the third or fourth time now, so always great to see you. And nice to meet you in person.
Absolutely. Thoughts on Game 1 last night at the MVP Center in Albany, and what did the Bandits do differently in this Game 1 than they didn't do in their two regular season matches?
Well, I think it came down to consistency and persistence. It was incredibly close throughout the first three quarters, very physical. They seemed really bothered by Albany. It was one of those battles where you really didn't know what was going to happen after 45 minutes, and I think that was kind of very exciting. I think that I had written in my recap that it was a instant classic up until the last 15 minutes where Buffalo did what Buffalo has done so much of the second half of the season, and they just powered through. They battled through the physicality, quick shooting. They battled through that physicality, and it was an amazing finish. They finished strong. They finished like champions.
Thoughts on the play of Matt Vince and how much of a difference has bringing the additions of Carnell Farrell and Paul Dawson on the defense to this Bandits team?
Well, as you know, I'm a big stats guy. I love stats, and it's great to see more face-off wins coming through for the Bandits. I would say that Paul Dawson, for me, is definitely more of an X factor, not only as a championship presence, but also a veteran leader who knows how to deliver in big game moments, and he's done that throughout the postseason and throughout the time that he's been with Buffalo now. He's been a real force and a real teacher on that defensive side of the ball, so I've loved what he was doing. But you mentioned Matt Vince. He was spectacular last night. Sure, he may not have made as many saves, I don't think, as Doug Jamieson, but the saves that he made sometimes, I mean, you would not think that guy is 41 and 18 years into this league. It was unbelievable the things he was doing, where he had a couple of ones where he was sliding over last second, getting the ball at the edge of his pads. Like, he looked like he was 20 years younger, not a 41-year-old guy, so it was really special.
Thoughts on these teams playing back-to-back for the National Lacrosse League? Usually the games are once or twice a week, but in this case, back-to-backs. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, so it's a very interesting thing. Who knows what's going to happen tonight? I think that both teams, it's a huge moment. I think that the best athletes in the world fight through these kind of things. I will say, though, both of the teams, immediately after the game finished, they washed up and quickly got on their buses. It was about a 4.5-5-hour ride on the bus to Buffalo. Then most of them got to their hotels and went to bed. So it obviously, with the weird ride through the middle of the night, and then also with the just kind of recouping from the physicality of last night, are these guys going to be different? Are they going to be the same? I think that, in these moments, kind of that exhilaration, that intensity takes over. But it is definitely a factor to keep a watch on, because it was such a physical game last night, and that middle of the night ride is one that most players don't want to do if they don't have to.
Thoughts on the Albany Firewolves, and after their Game 1 loss, I've heard some people counting them out, but I really think they're going to play their A game today, and they've had a terrific year, and I just wanted to get your quick thoughts on the Firewolves and what do they need to do to get a win here tonight at the KeyBank Center?
Well, it is kind of a simple thing, but they definitely need to capitalize on not making as many of the mistakes as maybe that they did in the end of that game yesterday. There was a couple of penalties I know that they wish they hadn't taken. There was a couple of times where they threw away the ball. They didn't seem as in sync as they were throughout the first three quarters. It seemed like the Bandits really did get to them. Their strength is their quickness, their ability to pass the ball. Obviously, you've seen their outside shots, their ability to attack the net with Alex Simmons. Ethan Walker, I said, is probably one of those most underrated players that wasn't nominated for any award this season. He really kind of keeps things running here for that offense. But that defense, John Wagner, you talk about Paul Dawson being a great addition. John Wagner has been electric. Patrick Kozchuk, those guys have been really incredible. They got to keep the tenacity up for 110%, do it for 60-plus minutes if they have to. They have to make sure that as young guys, they don't let this environment get to them. That can be very tough. 19,000 people here tonight, sold-out crowd. We know how loud Banditland can get. That can be jarring for some young kids, but I've been around this Albany Firewolves club a lot this season, and I really think that they're tough enough mentally and physically to be able to take the challenge. It's just, is Buffalo too good right now, and does it have too much momentum to overcome?
And finally, thoughts on the Buffalo Bandits and how they come into this game too at home, favored obviously, and now the expectations from their fan base of a championship tonight. How do they stay focused for this game against Albany?
So when I was waiting for the press conference last night, one thing that all of the guys said as they were running through the tunnel down to the locker room, it was as first step. This is the first step. They knew that yesterday wasn't a momentous thing. It's a 3-game series. They understood that coming into this, and now they know that they do have an advantage coming home to this crowd where they've had a lot of success, but they by no means think that this is a cakewalk. They know that that's a really good team. If you're making it to the NLL Cup, the NLL Finals, then you're a good team, and the Bandits recognize that. They're not going to let up. They're not going to stop being physical. They're going to seize this moment because they know what it means to the city. They know what it means for this club, and Josh and Dane and the rest of that crew really are ready to bring it home.
Finally, who could be an X factor for Albany tonight in Buffalo? And where can my audience follow you on social media, Adam?
Well, I'll start with the following on social media. If you don't follow me already at Adam Levy NLL on X or Twitter, you can do that as well. You can find me at You Never Sport Alone on Instagram. That's trending more towards my NLL stuff as well. Those are the two main spots. You can also read my writing at NLL.com. IL Indoor, and also occasionally the NLL Players Association. So I'm pretty much everywhere. I also do stuff on video for the NLL Players Association. But yeah, in terms of X factors, I would say that, I spoke to Chris Cloutier last night, and I mentioned before Dane and Josh, is that who's going to be that role player for the Bandits offense that steps up other than Dane and Josh? We know what they're going to do. Who's going to be that guy? Is it going to be Chase? Is it going to be Chris? Is it going to be Tahoka? Who's going to be that next player that helps bring home a championship for this club? So I think it could be any of those guys. I think defensively they're very sound. I mean, there's a lot of veteran leadership there, from Vince to Priolo to Dawson. But yeah, it's who's going to be that extra guy on offense. I'm not going to name a name, but yeah, I would say that that's where you want to look. And for Albany, I would definitely say that you want to look at who is going to really step up defensively. Doug Jamieson has saved this team so much, and I mean that both literally and figuratively. And it's been really exciting to see him really come back to form after winning Goaltender of the Year 2019-2020. But you need that defense to really step up, and they have all season long. So you need performances from guys like John Wagner, Patrick Kozchuk, Nick Chikowski, that physicality. I always like to throw in Nathan Grennan as maybe an X factor. He loves to stir the pot as a little guy out there. He's a dog. He's feisty. I know that the coaching staff sometimes has to reel him in, but he's always up for the challenge. So if those guys can kind of limit the mistakes, Nathan Grennan took a late penalty in the last game, kind of limit those kinds of things. Those are the things that you want to do, and so maybe look at a guy like Nathan Grennan.
All right, well, Adam, I want to say thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you so much, Chris, and good to see you again.
That's Adam Levy, reporter, writer with the National Lacrosse League. Thank you so much.